Contractor's saying this one's ready for market. What do you think? And this right here is not even connected. Jeez. They need to be held up. Ooh. Grab this stuff. Yeah, not gonna do it. In this particular house, somebody hired a quasi general contractor to do the work. I would call him more like an all-arounder because I don't think he had licenses. After looking at this house, he certainly did not pull permits. But this house is supposed to be ready for market. Let's see. Always check the drawers. Pretty sweet truck right there. Streaks. Ew. Ew. Hey. Uh-oh. Now, when a house gets done, you can't just trust people saying that it's done. You need to go in and check for yourself. Now, here are some of the things that I specifically check for. I always check behind doors, in closets. That's where mistakes happen. Closets always have crap inside of them. Sideways. Cabinets always have crap inside of them. And then you're checking to see if things work. You know, like plumbing works. You're making sure that all the switches work. You're making sure that HVAC turns on. It works. You're making sure that there's no leaks underneath where faucets are.
About that
Those are the first things you want to check for. Obviously, you're not going to grab everything here. There's going to be a home inspector that comes in and they're going to find all these things, but that's after something goes under contract. So really, what I'm looking for here is how is it going to present to somebody who wants to come buy the house? And if that crap is happening, they're not going to buy the house. Can you see how it's not put on straight? Jeez.
I think these are supposed to be connected.
You want to check to make sure that all of the protrusions where water lines enter in through a floor or through a wall, you want to make sure they have what are called escutcheons, or there's something that protects the wall. You see, like right here, see how these are coming through and there's holes around them? And this right here is not even connected. That's another thing you should check for. But there should be, like, you'll see little circular metal pieces or plastic pieces that go around here. They go around here. Those need to be there. And if this house had gotten inspected, which it obviously did not, that would have been seen. You can also see here that this is regular painter's caulk. So in some municipalities, depending on where you're at, you have to caulk the bottom of a toilet, but you would use silicone caulk, which is waterproof. Some municipalities don't require it. In fact, they ban it from happening. There's kind of like two schools of thought on should you caulk underneath a toilet, because if you do and it starts leaking, then the water stays under there, but the water stays under there. You don't know that it's leaking until it damages the floor. And some say that you shouldn't because of those reasons. So actually here you don't have to, but there is no municipality that says you can use painter's caulk to do that. Painter's caulk is not waterproof like that. Silicone caulk is what you would use. Oops. Now, I'm not sure you can see this bump here, but every time I'm walking through houses, I'm always checking the floor. I do a little bounce test because I'm looking to make sure the floors aren't soft. That means the framework underneath is not sufficient, or it's water damaged or termite eaten, or I'm looking for just bad installations, which is probably what we're dealing with here, or maybe some buckling happened. These are hardwood floors. Like after they were installed, maybe they didn't let them acclimate. That means they sit them in the house for a few days before they install them. That way they can get right with the climate inside of the house so they don't expand or contract once they're installed. So these here, they were probably put in here and then they were left when it was really hot and humid inside the house with no AC running, and then they got a little bit wider. They expanded a little bit and then they pushed up like this. That's what happens. Hard to fix once it's here. And also I'm checking on like LVP floors to make sure they're not, squishy, meaning there's voids underneath of them. Always check closet doors. They almost never work right. You want to make sure that everything is working before you pay the subcontractor, because who's going to fix it after they've been paid? Probably you, or you're paying somebody else to do it. Oh, jeez. Oh. Whoops, that was a screw. Those are supposed to stay in. Nice little patch job. Can you see that? Look at that. Okay. Nice paint job on the stairs. A lot of softness. Is it concerning that this guy didn't pull permits and he probably doesn't have the ability to do so? Well, kind of, but that happens on a lot of jobs. The more important thing here is that I can tell from the work that was done that he did not do things right that are inside of the walls. Now, it doesn't look to me like this guy is a corner cutter, so to speak, that he's trying to hide things. Corner cutting is really when they maliciously hide things. I think this guy just doesn't know what the heck he's doing, and it shows in his work. So that's a more concerning thing. Now, I'm only here to make sure that this house is ready for market. And despite those things, this house is certainly not ready for market, especially in a tough market like we're in right now. You need to make sure that when people open the door, when they walk up to this house, that they are really impressed by it, because the competition is really high right now. And there is not a person that would walk in this house and be impressed by it. They might be impressed that maybe they can get a great deal and do some of this cleanup work themselves. But the average family that you want to come buy your house, somebody who is excited about a house purchase, somebody that doesn't know what to or want to do any of those things, those are the people that are going to pay the top dollar for your property. And those are the ones that you want to attract by making sure it doesn't seem like the house needs a lot of work. That's not supposed to be like that. That's supposed to be pressure treated. This box shouldn't be like that. Who knows what those do? Floor's still soft. There's water. not on. Oh! Just joking. That's fine. No mirror. No bathroom hardware. Toilet paper holders. Towel holders. Dirty. There's a spider. Hey, spider. So now, not looking at the design here, but like this is a nice design here. You know, it's got like the smaller mosaic styles, but then the floor drain's over there in the top left. If it was centered, that might look nice, but you shouldn't have done that with it not being a centered drain. And who knows why it got set over there. And also there's something inside of it. That's probably gonna be a problem. Oh! That's funny. Look at that. That's off, but that's on. Whoops. This light is just sitting there from anything that I can see. No switch has turned it on yet. Let's see what this. I'm sure they're going to try to call this a bedroom. However, if a room does not have egress, it's not a window. Or, sorry, if a room doesn't have egress, it's not a bedroom. Egress means that there's a way to get out, and there's a lot of rules around egress. So for instance, there need to be a window here that could get you out of the property, but not just any window. It's got to be a certain size. That's why you see in some houses there's holes dug next to the house with the corrugated steel that goes around. That is an egress window. It's flooring. That's cute. Okay, same thing here. I got a light fixture that is not attached to anything. They switched to these can lights. Technically speaking, a basement needs to be about 7 foot high, different rules in different municipalities, but a door is 80 inches, so this is like probably not cutting the mustard. They obviously didn't get this house inspected by codes enforcement, so they didn't have to run into that issue. Obviously, I'm going to recommend that they're not paid until these things are cleaned up. But once again, this isn't one of my properties. I'm checking it out for somebody to make sure it's ready for market. Ooh. Ooh. Few lessons to be taken from here. One is you need to personally go inspect houses before you put them on the market. There's always little things that get missed. Number two is contractors don't have the same eye that you're gonna have. You have the vision for what a house should look like when it goes to market, and you need to make sure that that vision has been captured. And number three is you're not gonna get work done if you've already paid for it. So you need to make sure that you hold a final payment until you have inspected it and you've approved it. Now we're gonna get this guy back so we can get this thing ready for market. And I guess number four is it's a really tough market right now. Everybody wants the property to be done, including you, I'm sure. But you can't let these little things go because it's the final 5% of the project completion that makes up the majority of the money, the profit that you're gonna make on a project. Pretty great that I can reach out and grab this stuff. Yeah, not gonna do it.